don't have a show today, but I actually want to do this special video for you to correct a record, because I was at Occupy Oakland on Wednesday, November 2nd, when they did the large march to the ports to occupy and to shut down the ports. I was actually shocked that when we came home, most of the media outlets said that there were only 3,000 people there. That is absurd. The highest number we saw was 10,000 from a local ABC News affiliate that at least had a camera somewhere, right? But we were in that crowd, and we shot the crowd. And I can show you in fact, you can see the videos here of these huge, massive protesters on a bridge, for example. But what you can't see is that's a small snippet of the crowd. That isn't the whole crowd by a long shot. That crowd, that kind of crowd, stretched for miles and miles. We walked 2 miles with gigantic crowds all around us. And no matter how far you walked, either forward or backward, the crowd was always gigantic. And I'm not a crowd checker. Damn it, Jim. I'm not a crowd checker, I'm a talk show host. But I'm looking around and I said, okay, maybe I'm seeing this wrong. So I asked several other people there. They're like, they thought the same thing I thought. This is the largest crowd we've ever been in. This is larger than any stadium crowd I've been in. By my eyeballing it, it was minimum 50,000 people there. So it drives me crazy that they didn't have cameras there. And that's what you have to understand. So why does CNN, MSNBC, the cable news channels not give it much coverage? Because they didn't send cameras. I don't know why. Maybe they thought it was too expensive. You know, for most of that march, you had to actually march it. Cars couldn't go on those roads, especially when you got to the port. So maybe they thought it was too hard. But then for them to misrepresent the numbers is terrible and really important. Because look, the Tea Party got a lot of hype because a lot of people would show up at some of their protests. When you had this gigantic crowd in Oakland that went and shut down the ports, if it's a 50,000 crowd, that's a much larger story. And I was there. We shot the video. That crowd was gigantic. I couldn't believe that we came back and there was almost no coverage of it. Now, of course, what did get the coverage? A couple of fires that were lit later in the night by some people who are, roundly denounced by the rest of the Occupy Oakland movement. Now, I get why they covered the fires. The fires also, oh, wow, interesting video. And actually, I can get there, somebody can drive there and shoot it easily. That's why they cover it. But hey, you got to do the movement justice. Now, for example, places like San Francisco Chronicle at least explain that the guys who lit the fires are a tiny, tiny percentage of Occupy Oakland. In fact, the rest of Occupy Oakland, the great majority, are against those guys and are pissed that they're, bringing this, whether it was occupying a building they shouldn't have been in, or lighting the fires, or doing the graffiti, or shattering some of the windows. They think that there's a great disservice to the movement, and San Francisco Chronicle did a good job of covering that accurately. But when it came to the protests, I don't know if it was laziness, I don't know if it was on purpose, but that march, they did not cover accurately at all. It was enormous, and I wanted you guys to know so you knew the reality of it. We were there.